welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fan-atical view. Hello, hey, easy for me to say. Let's get this show started off right. How are we all doing out there in TV land? We are live in studio, second week in a row after our kind of crazy April where we missed a bunch of shows, but we are here on this May 10th, Thursday. I hope everybody survived their Cinco de Mayo Kentucky Derby weekend. I know I did and enjoyed a few cervezas, mas finas perhaps, and margaritas as well. Anyways, we can hear my man Bob right there. How we doing, Bob?
I'm doing very well.
Good to see you again. And Bob's show, of course, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. What do we got cooking on the show this past week?
We had the biker bash from Harley Davidson, which was a very good game. Very good, you know.
Over at their big shop over on Federal Road?
Yes.
Nice. Good turnout for them?
Oh, excellent turnout.
Nice. Very good. Well, tune in to Bob for that, and you'll see all that Harley Davidson stuff. In the studio running things, we got Mr. Mike Toohey from Expose Cinema fame. His show, of course, Friday nights at 10, Wednesdays at 11. And Danbury Live's John Newmuller, Saturdays at 7 and Tuesdays at 11. We got 30 minutes to get things going here. Fastest sports talk show in the history of all sports talk show there is.
This is true.
So phone lines are open early and often. Anybody want to call in and talk about whatever they want to talk about? Plenty going on. 203-792-4101 is that number. We're going to start with the NBA, and we're going to put a bow on the big Brick City.
It was Brick City last night, too.
It's Brick City all season long. Let's face it, Bob. Come on. This team drew so much attention all year long. Talk, and celebrations galore. Every time, they hit a shot, Novak with the discount double check. I didn't see any discount double checks putting on that belt at all during this series in the round one here against the Heat. And none of the other Knicks were really doing much celebrating. They had a bad omen to start the series with Tyson Chandler coming down with the flu. Shumpert tearing that ACL in game one, and it was all downhill from there. Hey, but good news. They broke the record, but then they snapped the streak, and here come the Streamers.
Yes.
Having won their first playoff game to make the series 3-1. They celebrate like they won a championship because their 13-game playoff losing streak, which is an NBA record. They hadn't won since, 2001, a playoff game. They beat the Heat in that close game, 89-87. The other night to force a Game 5, and Game 5 down in Miami last night was nothing doing as the Heat basically cruised throughout this game. The Knicks never really threatened at all, if you ask me. 106-94, that score is closer than what this game really was because they were never in this game at all, never had a chance. If they put it out there last night and they put some pressure on, forced a tight game, and they could force a Game 6 back at home, you never know what happens. You win a home game, and all of a sudden you're facing a Game 7 situation. But they did not give a great effort last night, and it's all over. So we'll see what happens as they move forward. Of course, B. Diddy, Baron Davis was out. Ugly injury he had in that game the other night, dislocating his kneecap. So the injuries really did hurt them in this series. Of course, Jeremy Lin, they were teasing the fans saying, maybe by Game 4 he'll be back. And then it was, no, he doesn't want to risk further setbacks. I mean, come on. Look what's going on in the Hawks, Celtics series. Guys playing hurt left and right. Everybody's putting it on the line saying it's do or die. We got to win now or the season's over. These guys are playing through it. Jeremy Lin did not want to come back and risk any injury. I mean, why not? Your team needs you. You're faced with elimination. Your season's over. You're going to have plenty of time to rest. Come back and play. So this topsy-turvy New York Knicks season finally comes to an end. I mean, the season really was up and down all year, Bob. Win streaks, losing streaks, coaching changes, players quitting on coaches, forcing coaching changes. Who could play with who? Could Stat play with Melo? Could Melo play with Stat? Could Lin play with Melo? Lin getting hurt, all the other guys getting hurt. And they got no cap space, really.
No.
So this is the team that's going to come back. Will it be Mike Woodson coaching the team moving forward, however?
That's a tough.
I know there's that pipe dream out there for a lot of Knick fans. They want Phil the Thrill, Mr. Jackson.
I don't think that's going to happen.
If you're nasty. You know,
that's not going to happen.
Phil's like 70 years old now. How many hip replacement surgeries?
Yeah.
He's had heart problems
Yeah.
in the past. Plus, this team is not built to win. And we know Phil likes to pick his spots, pick those ready-made teams. I don't know if Phil's coming back to the Garden and saving the Knicks. So it looks like probably Mike Woodson is going to be the guy going forward. You know, he does not have a good playoff record, just ask the Atlanta Hawks. He did a great job, though, down the stretch. The team did seem to want to play for him regular season-wise. They finished strong, earned that spot in the playoffs, 7th seed it was, and they drew that matchup with the Heat. But, I mean, game 1, 100-67, Bob.
Yeah.
67 points, that's what you're going to put out there for your game 1 of the playoffs? I mean, give me a break. That's just ridiculous.
It's lucky they won the second game.
Game 3, they only score 70 points. Come on. This is just ridiculous. So, I don't know. But Woodson's the guy that a lot of people like, and I want him coming back. So it looks like that's what's going to be happening. Let's move on to the Celtics, though. We saw a couple of the photos getting put up there. Game 6 tonight, which is a crucial Game 6 for the Celtics because they do not want to go back to Atlanta and face this Hawks team. And they struggle down there in the dirty South in the ATL as they've done in this series, losing game 1 in just a ridiculous game where we saw Rondo get ejected and then get suspended for bumping the ref, which was just a ridiculous situation. He lost his cool, but if the refs got the calls right, you know, hey, he wouldn't have to lose his cool. So get the calls right, refs, and maybe we wouldn't have any of that problem. You know, the Celtics did get a great performance by Paul Pierce, and then, to my dismay, he had a Tebow moment going down on one knee, as we see it right here, pulling a Tebow after he came up large in charge in that Game 2, 87-80 win. It was quite the performance, but I did not need to see the Tebow, which he pulled twice. I think he pulled it 3 times.
It just happens, you know. Every once in a while, that Tebow comes out.
Oh my goodness gracious! They get the big overtime win, which they tried to hand that game away to the Hawks in Game 3 with no Josh Smith, no Al Horford, as those guys were dealing with injuries. But Smith and Horford, who's been out for like 55 games, he comes back. And Smith comes back. He's got, you know, a sprained knee. They both play. They're still waiting on Jaja Pachulia. He's out, but they're hoping maybe they get him tonight. If not, maybe Game 7 if they need him. But Ray Allen, we see him. He came back from his ankle injury, but now Pierce is playing with a sprained MCL.
Yeah.
He's got an injury, but he's going to play. He played a ridiculous game. I almost wish he didn't play in Game 5 down in Atlanta because he single-handedly led to the defeat as they lost by 1 point in a game, which is just crazy. This is the Celtics all over the place. You know, they're 3-1 up in the series. You know, if they lose, they figure no big deal. So they don't put out a full 48-minute effort. Pierce is horrible. You know, they just go through the motions. They go through some runs where they put pressure on the Hawks. They're down by 8. They're down by 11. They tie it. They take a lead. Then they let the Hawks regain the lead. Imagine if they played a full 48 minutes.
Oh,
Bob.
God, that would be
they only lost by 1, and they played a pathetic basketball game.
Yeah.
It was completely ridiculous. If they put forward the effort, you know, they could have got themselves a couple days off. Now they're faced with pressure of winning at home, dealing with injuries. Ray's still not totally 100%, but he says he feels pretty good, so we're happy about that. But Bradley's banged up with the shoulder. Peters is banged up with the hamstring. And as I mentioned, Pierce has got this gimpy knee, and he's got to fight through it. Because if they lose Game 6 at home tonight, they got to go back for Game 7, 1 day rest, because it's game's 2 days away. And this is an older team. They do not fare well in that situation. And playing on the road Game 7, not easy thing in the NBA, unlike the NHL where we see road teams win all the time, which we will get to that. We'll get to the NHL and the Rangers and their big Game 7.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. All right, so the Celtics better win tonight. That's all I know. In the Eastern Conference, the other things that are going on, Sixers, Bulls. Bulls came up with a gutty effort, 77-69, Game 5 win over the Sixers. It looked like the Sixers were going to take control of the series and finish them off. We saw Rose go down with the ACL, and then Joakim Noah goes down with a tough ankle, foot injury. They say he is a game-time decision for their next game, which I believe is tonight.
Yeah.
So I didn't think we were going to see Noah at all again in this series, but they are holding out hope he can come back, which would be a big lift. This game is in Philly, though. Philly would be wise to end this now and get it done. But the Bulls, we saw them play through injury all year, and they were the number 1 seed, even though they were dealt with a lot of injuries. So, maybe somehow, some way they come back from 3-1 down in this series and force a Game 7, which would be back at home in Chi-Town, the Windy City, and that place would get crazy if they can get that 7 and try to get these guys through. And then the Pacers, very impressive, although they're going against the Magic. The Magic's drama act, which, grew very tiring all year long. Dwight Howard, is he or isn't he staying? Where's he going to go? Forcing the coach out, Stan, the man, Gundy, is he going to be there next year? I'm very happy to say the Magic season is over. Maybe we don't need to deal with them for a little while, although I'm sure they're going to make plenty of noise in the off season. But I will give a little credit. Big Baby Davis, good for him. The Celtics traded him for Brandon Bass. Baby Davis had great moments for the Celtics, including winning a championship. And, he kind of wore out his welcome a little bit last year, and they shipped him out. But he had a very good season for them, and he also had a very good series against the Pacers. But the Pacers do win 4-1, and they pretty much cruised in that final fourth quarter as they pulled away big time. And they really recovered because, remember, Game 1 of this series, Bob, they blew that big lead.
Oh, yeah.
They had a lead throughout that game, and in the final 2 minutes, Big Baby Davis led to a big comeback for the Magic. People were wondering if the Pacers were too young. But they got a nice team. David West, unsung. One of the best offseason moves of the year as they got him from the Hornets, and he's played well, fit in. And they got Roy Hibbert, former Hoya Destroyer, Tyler Hansborough, a champion in college, Collison, Granger, Barbosa. A.J. Price is even on this team, even though he doesn't get much time.
It's a great team.
So the Pacers, I think, will give the Heat, that's who they are matched up, a little bit of trouble. Probably too early for the Pacers to really give them a lot of trouble, but you never know. They are a balanced team. They were 1-3 against the Heat this year during the season, but it's the playoffs now. We'll see what happens. Out west, Spurs sweep the Jazz. Oklahoma City, okay, yes. It's okay with the Thunder. OKC sweeps D-Mavs, no longer D-Champs. They are gone as they get swept. Shocking. They struggled throughout the year, so maybe not so shocking they lost, but they played 2 real close games in Oklahoma City, and then they come back home to try to get into the series, and Oklahoma City basically handed it to them on the road in Dallas. So the champs go down without much of a fight. The other 2 series featuring the LA teams.
Fakers.
It's an LA story. The clip joint, first of all, we'll get to those fakers, but the clip joint were up 3-1 over my team, Memphis. You know I talk about the Grizzlies all year long. I like the Grizzlies a lot. I've been shocked. They've been down, but they blew that first game, 27-point lead in Game 1?
Yes.
Which set them reeling in this series as we see Rudy Gay stunned disbelief after one of their losses. And the Clippers came back, and they took command of the series up 3-1. But, maybe some of this bad mojo for the Clippers. We know they have a bad history of NBA action. Griffin gets hurt, and Chris Paul gets hurt in that Game 5. So now they're faced with the Game 6 in LA, by the way, Friday night. We know that they lost Caron Butler, another former Husky. He's out. He broke his hand in that Game 1. So they got a little bit of injury problems. They think these guys are going to play, but they are banged up now. Memphis trying to get back in this, force a Game 7, which will be back at Memphis if they can get it done. So that's going on there. And Rudy Gay, just for the record, 19 points, 21 points, 24 points, 23 points, and 14 points. Didn't score that much in their nice, comfortable win in Game 5, but they didn't need him to. So he's had a pretty good series. The Fakers tried to end this thing the other night.
Yes, they did, but
not so fast. Those rich, creamy nuggets. George Karl said we still feel like there's plenty of series left, and he was right. because they get a win on the road. Denver, the young Denver Nuggets, get a huge game, for a Game 5 win there. So they force a Game 6 at Denver tonight. I don't know. I don't know. They blew them out in Game 3 at Denver. They blew a 14-point lead in Game 4, and the Lakers came back to take that 3-1 series lead. Nuggets, I want to see it. No Metta World Peace. He's still out, as World Peace is suspended for the big elbow.
Yes.
He has one more game to go on that suspension. He would be back for Game 7 if needed, and if they get through, he would be back for Game 1 against Oklahoma City, which is who he got the suspension for. All right, we're about halfway through the show. Anybody want to talk NBA, give a call. 792-203-792-4101 is that number. Let's move on to the NHL.
Who plays in the NHL?
Rangers. Oh, the Rangers.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a.
Hey, well, the good news is the series has gone one loss,
Yes.
which would mean the Rangers would be in line for a win.
Yes.
A W for Game 7, and they are 4-0 all time in Game 7s, Bob.
Yes.
They sound like that football team from New York, the G-Men, with their gaudy record in championship games.
they came back out of the.
But anyways, let's not bring up that, because that will just get ugly if we start talking football. Rangers, Capitals. Really, the Capitals, if you ask me, have outskated the Rangers in this series.
The Capitals have done a very good job, I have to admit.
And their goaltender is going head up, the young goalie, against the veteran.
Yeah.
Hotby is playing hotly.
Ovechkin has been lights out too.
Yeah, I mean, your guy's doing great. You guys have maybe more of a balanced attack, but really the Capitals' defense has played well. They've got the good goaltending. And they've got Ovi, the best player on the ice, when he's on the ice, because he's not getting much offensive time as they're playing more of a defensive game and then picking their spots, power plays, and when they need offense, they get him in there, and he's come up big. This series has seen some high drama. Game 3, triple overtime, Rangers win.
That was a long game.
Woo! That was a tough one, and then at the Garden, series tied 2-2, Rangers down 2-1.
Yes. Waning
moments, the Capitals take the most ridiculous penalty I've ever seen anybody take. How could their guy get a high stick on a faceoff with 28 seconds left in the game? Double minor power play leads to the Rangers scoring the tying goal on a rebound putback off the faceoff, 7.6 seconds left. And then the power play continues into overtime. 1 minute 35 into OT, they get the winner. The Capitals stunned. So they lose Game 3, triple overtime. Then they lose that overtime game after they were winning with 7 seconds left. And they still bounce back and win the following games both times. Capitals showing resiliency, Bob. Huge effort by them. The question is Saturday night, are they going to be able to come up with back-to-back wins, which nobody has been able to do?
I think they will.
You think the Capitals are going to beat your Rangers?
No, I don't. I don't think they'll beat the Rangers.
You think the Rangers are going to win?
Yeah,
all right.
they will definitely.
The Rangers have been a do-or-die team, doing whatever it takes to get these wins. It certainly has been high drama. No team has ever won the Stanley Cup, by the way, after playing 2 Game 7s in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Having to go 7 in the first 2 rounds has never led to a team winning the Stanley Cup, by the way, Bob. So the winner of this series is already in for a tough road because they've been stretched to the max, because the Capitals also went Game 7 against my Bruins, in the first round.
Game.
And the winner of this series is going to have to face, those Devils. The New Jersey Devils. How on earth are they in the Eastern Conference Finals, Bob? Maybe it has something
we
to
thought
do
they were one and done.
with the ageless one, Martin Brodeur. The only player ever to play in the playoffs in his teens, in his 20s, in his 30s, and now, happy birthday, Martin, just the other day,
just turned
in his
40.
40s. As he just turned 40s.
He's going to go for his 50, I think.
The Devils shoot down the high-flying Flyers 4-1. The Flyers came in, with the most impressive win over the Penguins. Everybody's picked to go to the finals. And the Devils shut down that offense, and they take this series 4-1. So the Rangers, maybe it'll be some old bad blood stirred up,
I think
classic rivalry rekindled, or it'll be riding up 95 to the New Jersey Turnpike for those DC fans for the Capitals. Interesting stuff out west, where maybe the best team in hockey is playing right now. The LA Kings 8-1 against the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed. First they took care of the Vancouver Canucks, and then they sweep the St. Louis Blues, who were my pick out west. I thought the Blues were the team to watch. Not so much. The Kings, goaltending, defense, physical. For a team playing in Los Angeles, this team is playing physical. And we talked about them coming down the stretch, Bob. They gave up the fewest amount of goals out of anybody in the league by far. And their goaltender, Quick, is getting it done. And they face the Phoenix Coyotes, by the way, playing very well as well. 5 overtime games in that first series against the Blackhawks, and then they had 1 against the Predators, but they handled the Predators, and they get it done. 8-3 overall in the playoffs so far, and they're doing very well with goaltending, and they're scoring a few more goals than the Kings, and they're more of a finesse team than the Kings are, so it's going to be 2 different styles. But the bottom line is both teams can play with a good goalie, and both teams have it going on right now, so that's going to be a very good series. Interesting things going on in the NHL. As far as Major League Baseball. Let's talk about the Mets because, I really don't want to talk about the Red Sox. If you could see I'm wearing a Boston jersey. Believe it or not, the man over my shoulder who's coming back to town, Mr. Johnny Damon, his name is on the back of this jersey, which means things are really bad. Typically, I have this jersey out only in burning situations. At this point, I'm rooting for Cleveland and Johnny Damon and Derek Lowe to come into Fenway tonight and pummel the Red Sox.
Oh, you want to see golf balls flying
I would
everywhere.
like to see golf balls fly. I know I told the guys in the studio we were talking about the Mets first. We'll get to the Mets because we got to get to this Dead Sox situation. If Bobby Valentine wants to win over the fans in Boston, this is what he should do. Let Josh Beckett, the bum, go out to the mound tonight, pitch to 1 batter. Maybe Johnny Damon would lead off for the Indians tonight. That would be fitting.
Pulling his golf bag with him.
And then come out to the mound and pull Beckett from the game and have a golf bag over his shoulder with him and hand it to Beckett and say, hit the showers, hit the links, you're done. We're cutting you. We're eliminating you from this team. Go eat your chicken. Go drink your beer. Go do it on a golf course somewhere and get out of our life forever. We don't want to see you anymore. Bobby V is getting blasted by a lot of people up in Boston. The Red Sox fans are killing him. I mean, I'm sorry. When he's dealing with guys like Josh Beckett, what do you expect to happen? Get these guys out of here. Bring the young guns up. John Lester, I'm even tired of this guy. I mean, come on, Lester. You stink. Get it done. The team needs you. Buchholz, what are you doing? This team recovered from their horrible start. They went to 10-10. Now they're 12-18. Bob, they are 1-10 in their last 11 games at home.
They stink at home. They can't play at home. Maybe they should just play the rest of the season on the road.
And on a serious note, Carl Bean, their PA announcer, suffers a heart attack while driving in his car, and he dies. He probably couldn't handle it anymore. Longtime PA announcer. So it just goes from bad to worse for the Dead Sox because they are horrible. Just horrible. Just horrible, Bob. Horrible. Did I say that? Did I say it was horrible?
You said it was horrible.
Get these guys out of here. I want to see the young players. I want to just see Bobby V be able to manage some guys who want to play And I don't care if they lose a bunch of games at this point. Bring these guys up. Turn this team over. It's done. It's over with. Be gone with them. All right, let's get back to your Mets, though, because they have won 5 straight.
Yeah.
They just sweep the Phils, by the way, and they are now a half a game out of first place.
Yes.
The Nats, who have lost 3 in a row, and they are struggling. They are still holding down the fort there, that D.C. loop. Something's in the water in D.C. between the Capitals and hockey.
Yes.
The Orioles, 19-11, half game out of first place, and the Nats still holding on, although the Braves and the Mets right behind them in the NL East. And the Marlins, don't look now.
No, I know. We're playing the Marlins
8-2 in their last
Friday.
10, and they just had a nice long winning streak. As a matter of fact, they're above 500, so it looked like the Marlins were done early, but they have recovered quickly. So that's what's happening with your Mets. Looking pretty good.
Yeah.
They swept the Phillies without even Johan Santana getting a start. Back in the American League, the Yanks, oh no, oh mo.
Oh, yes.
They are done. With Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer in the history of baseball. He suffers the torn ACL, MCL, out for the season. And then David Robertson, the new closer, blows the game last night.
With
That's right. Go ahead, Bob. Let the people know.
the guy who hit it, Mr. Joyce,
Matt Joyce.
former Danbury Westerner from
Former
2004.
Danbury Westerner. He comes through with the big 3-1 homer in the 9th inning last night to win it. And then there we see St. Andy Pettit, the flip-flopper.
He's going to pitch on Sunday.
The supposed St. Andy, who changed his tune in the courtroom last week, and then he didn't want to talk about it. I heard him getting interviewed yesterday on New York radio, and he did not want to address any of his HGH use or his performance in the courtroom or what he had to say about Mr. Roger Clemens.
Right.
Come on, Andy. Guess what? This is New York. You're going to have to talk. You can't be Mr. Fake St. Andy. That's it. So he's coming back, though, on Mother's Day, by the way. He will pitch on Sunday. We are running out of time, though, so I'm going to have to move on quickly.
Mr. Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton, 4 home runs the other night. Maybe the Rangers would be wise to wrap him up. The Rangers are in first place right now, 20-10. The Tigers are recovering at 15-15 in the NL. Cardinals 20-11. Pirates not doing so bad.
No.
The Reds right there with them. Dodgers still 20-11, so they're doing good. And I'll have another Kentucky Derby winner. Nice race that was, great comeback. But we are out of time. We'll see you next week. We'll be back live once again. Take care and enjoy your weekend.